Hi, my name's Craig Petty and welcome to Nothing But The Truth. This is my chance to let you know what I feel about what's going on in the magic industry. Don't expect a high quality, studio-based review show. If you're looking for that, look somewhere else. This is a no-frills look at the good, the bad and the ugly. Basically, if I'm passionate about something or something has pissed me off, I'm going to let you know. You may love me, you may hate me, but I promise you one thing, there will be nothing but the truth. My name's Craig Petty, and I'm back. I want to talk to you about something that I saw on a Facebook group about only a couple of days ago now. There was a guy on there who went on, and I swear to God, he said, "I have just come up with the best trick ever. Does anyone know how I can release this as a product?" I'm not kidding. I have just come up with the best trick ever. Can anybody tell me how I can release that as a product? Yes, I can tell you. Don't do it. Don't release it as a product, and don't even think about that. You see, there's this thing in the magic community where people just immediately, once they come up with some half-assed idea, they think they need to release it on DVD because they see people like Greg Wilson, they see people like Richard Sanders, they see people like whoever the hell it is, and they think, oh, I want to be like them. How do I get like them? I release loads and loads of products, and how do I know that? That was me. I used to release stuff all of the time, over and over and over again. Have you heard of something called Red? Of course you have. That almost ruined my career. Even now, when people Google my name, I have stuff come up about that. That is something I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. And I did a podcast recently. If you haven't seen it, look up the Magician's Podcast. I talk about this in great detail. I'm not going to talk about it now. But the point is, I got into my mindset that I wanted to be famous in the magic community. And the only way to become famous was to release loads and loads and loads and loads of tricks. And so I got to a point where I was releasing so much stuff. Some of it was good, some of it wasn't. And I ended up in a situation where I completely screwed up. I really, really screwed up. And that's going to affect me for the rest of my life. And there's nothing I can do about that other than live with it. So let me tell you, learn from my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. If you have an idea for a trick, rather than going down the whole mental process of, let's release that trick, don't even think about that. Don't even think about that. If you want to be a creator in magic, that's wonderful. Good for you. You know what? Magic needs creators. Magic needs people coming up with really good material. But here's what you do about it. You don't just come up with any old idea and immediately rush to put it on DVD or to put it as a download. You don't do that because you owe it to the people that are spending money on your product to do two things. One, research to make sure it's yours, speaking from experience here, but two, you owe it to the people that are buying it that it's the best it can possibly be. You see these products come out. This is the most amazing trick ever. This is the final word. This is the ultimate trick. And then 6 months later, this is the most amazing trick ever, 2.0, and then 3.0. No, if it's the most amazing trick ever, there shouldn't be a 2.0, there shouldn't have been a 3.0, there shouldn't have been a 4.0. What you should have done is got it right in the first place so that you don't have to then bring it out 6 months later slightly better. You don't need to do that. You don't want to have people spend X amount and then 6 months later buy the same product because you couldn't get it right the first time round. The problem with magic these days, not magic, but here's the problem these days. Any idiot can get an iPhone. I filmed some of these on an iPad. Any idiot can get an iPad and an external mic and for very little money can put together a download and then, without that much ability, can put together a really snazzy looking trailer, make the whole thing look unbelievable, and then what happens? You release it and it sucks. It happens over and over again. I saw a product released recently by a creator that I respect very, very much. And I'm not going to name names. I might review it down the road. But the point is, this was not good enough to be a single trick release. Okay? Here's where it would have been good. If you bought out a DVD with like 10 or 12 routines, put it as one of them, great.
go to a magic magazine like Genie and say, hey, I've got a submission here, please can you publish this? Or even go to a community like Magic Bunny. I know it's like, doesn't get as much traffic these days, but they have a library. When I first started creating magic, I put a ton of stuff in that library that's still there today. And you know, there's so many different ways. But the problem is, there are people out there in the community, and what happens is they get the magic bug. And they learn how to do magic, and they learn their double lifts, and they learn their passes and their shifts and their palms, and they learn all of this stuff, and they spend a year absorbing all of this material, and they think, right, that's it. Now I'm at a stage where I can go out and I can be a creator. Well, there's so much more that you need to learn. You stand on the shoulders of giants. A lot of the stuff, if you don't have the experience, if you aren't well read enough, you're going to be in a situation where you're recreating stuff again. Talking from experience. I'm really well read, and yet I screwed up. So here's what you need to do. You want to be famous in the magic community. Brilliant. You want to bring out tricks. Brilliant. Here's what you do. You do it the old-fashioned way. You get a notebook, or if you want to be in the 21st century, you get an iPad with a very detailed notes page or whatever. And all the ideas that you get, you write them down. So if you've got an idea for a trick, write it down. Because I'll tell you something, that every single time I've had an idea for a trick, it's got better the more I've worked with it. It's got much better. If I just took a trick that I come up with and immediately released it, it wouldn't be very good at all. And I've done that. There's some tricks I've released. Pool Ball Miracles is one. It's a terrible product. It's awful. I apologise to you if you bought it. But that was just put together very, very quickly. But stuff like Chop, I worked that in for a long, long time. And you know what? It got better over the 2 years that I worked it before I actually released it than it did on day one. Because the more you work on stuff, the better it gets. You come up with new lines. You come up with more streamlined ways of achieving stuff. And that's what you need to do. Don't just release the product immediately. Oh, I've had a brilliant idea. Right, let me get my camera. Right, shoot it. Right, brilliant. Okay, hey, Murphy's. Hey, Penguin. Hey, this. Hey, that. Hey, Big Blind Media. Hey, World Magic Shop. Hey, Alakazam. Whoever it is. I've got a trick. No, stop. What you do is you take your trick. You write it down. You learn it. You come up with new ways of doing it. You make it better. So that there is not a 2.0 or a 3.0 or a 4.0. You release the final version as the very first version. Don't be that idiot with that video camera that's going out and producing stuff. I've said this before. You only get one chance to create a first impression. When you bring your product out, make sure it's a really good one. You know what? Bring loads of stuff. I remember, back in the old days of when there were loads of magic magazines, and I remember seeing people's names in there all of the time. And then when they actually released the DVD set, it was a big thing because I'd seen all of their routines in loads of different magazines and loads of different things. It was like, oh, I really want to buy that. You don't see that as much these days. And I think it's because it's so easy to release a download. It's so easy to produce a product. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's right. So if you're sitting there thinking about how to become the next Richard Sanders, or God help us, the next Jay Sankey, what you want to do is you want to just take your time over this. Pay your due diligence. Learn everything. Absorb all the information. And you get a good idea that you think is going to be the next greatest product. It's still going to be the next greatest product in a year's time. It's still going to be the next greatest product in 2 years' time. Work it in. Get good at it. Show it around to creators and people that you can trust. People that you trust, that you can show it to them and say, look, I want your honest opinion on this. How can I make this better? And that's the way that you go. And then that way you'll have a great reputation and you won't be in a situation where you spend 4 years ruining your reputation like I did. Okay? Like I say, I've been here. I've done it. Don't be the same. Don't be like me. You have an idea for a trick, think it through, get it good, and then release it down the line. Absolutely fine. Just my opinion.